Have you ever wondered, can you communicate directly with spirit guides, teachers, or non-physical consciousness, or even our higher selves? What would they tell us? My name is Kevin Moore, and since 2015, I started to practice a form of communication which is termed channeling. I have been interviewing experts on my talk show to find out, does life continue after we die? And can we communicate with those that have crossed over? With each expert I spoke to, they all had different ideas. Is there knowledge from the past which could be shared with the present moment? So I thought, why not just speak to the non-physical world directly through channelers around the world? And that's what I set out to do. They Call Us Channelers will take the viewers on a journey into the phenomena known as channeling. And my main goal with this docuseries is to bring a new understanding and awareness to channeling by looking within ourselves and asking, is it truly possible that we can all use this innate ability?
Hi, my name is Newman and I channel Theos. Well, when I was a little kid, and I'm talking about the age of about 5 years old, and from the time I could remember, I just had this desire to have a connection to God as I understood it. And I didn't understand why I couldn't have direct communication with God. As a matter of fact, I didn't believe that that was not possible. I thought it had to be possible. And so I would really sort of talk to the air and just say, you know, why won't you talk to me? I don't think it's fair. And I would make a case about it. And this was an ongoing discussion I was having with this sort of unknown entity. And there was one moment where I was at my grandmother's house and I was down playing on the railroad tracks, because that's what you did up there. And I just, again, I was saying, you know, why can't I hear you? Why won't you talk to me? I don't think it's fair. And then I just heard, we're here and we love you. And that was really the beginning of that. And I just trusted. They didn't say they had a name, but I just thought, oh, this is God. This is my connection. And my understanding of who they are has changed and differed. I now realize that they are the God part of me, that larger part of me, and that they are my higher self. And in fact, they are me. But they're the part of me that's non-physical and has that direct connection. Though we all have a direct connection. I don't want to say that we don't, but they're just that larger part of my soul that has the very clarity of knowing. Well, you know, because it evolved over time, it wasn't, and there wasn't any huge happening around it. It was just sort of, I'm talking to God kind of idea. And so it was just accepted. It wasn't, they didn't say, no, you're not, or anything like that. It was just, I had this communication and it was really personal to me. I didn't really walk around saying, well, God said this or whatever. It was more for my own growth. And I just, they started teaching me from very young. And one of the first things they ever taught me was a concept they called all time at the same time. And which I realized is that everything is now. But they just showed me that all moments of past, present, and future exist already. And that you can move between them. But they called it all time at the same time. And I remember them explaining that to me. And there was different concepts like that that turned out to be quantum physics principles that I, you know, at 5 and 7 years old, I would have never known. So there was stuff like that that they taught to me. And they taught me very early that love was everything. And because my desire was to know God, they told me if I wanted to know God, I had to love.
So throughout your working life, throughout your early 20s, into your 30s and everything else, it was always there.
Always.
But did you use it?
Always. Yeah.
Was it always a separate voice, or was it just a knowing?
Well, it's always been like a communication of hearing, but it's not just Theos. It's not just them. It was the drive for connection to the divine. That has been my drive, that wanting to know and to be able to access that, and to find, to grow into being a person who was love. And it was sort of a formula they gave me. They said, because I wanted to know God, and I was about 7 because I could read, and I didn't really, I didn't know anything else. But I said, what do I need to know? What do I need to do? How do I get there? Because you have to understand, my motivation was God. I wanted God. How do I get there? And so they sent me to the Bible, and they told me to open the Bible, and we had this big Bible that was in a closet in our house, and sort of in the closet under a bunch of boxes and things like that. And so they sent me to the Bible, and I opened the Bible, and they just said, look down and read what you see. And it was a verse, and it said, if a man says he loves God, but he hates his neighbor, he is a liar. For how can he love God who he has not seen, but hate his neighbor who he has seen? And then they said to me, that is all you need to know. Always ask yourself, is this love or not love? And I remember it so clearly, and it was like this sort of light went on, and I started to look at everything, and I was always asking, is this love or not love? And I continue to do that as sort of how I walk in the world. But I knew that loving everyone was one of the prerequisites for true alignment and connection. And I didn't know words like alignment, but I just knew that I wanted that. So I have to believe that I came in with some sort of memory, because when people say, oh, you can't talk to God, God only talked to the people in the Bible, but he doesn't do that anymore, you know, that to me didn't seem possible or natural or real. And there was part of me that really yearned for that. And I think that the desire stimulated the connection. And I think, we've talked about it before, and I've had this realization not so long ago, is that, you know, if I'd been somewhere like India, they probably would have just shipped me off to an ashram, and I would have sat at the feet of a guru and learned. But I didn't have that. But the desire was there. And so the desire sort of stimulated my inner guru to come out and teach me. That larger part of me came forward. But it was never about anybody but really me and my connection. So, but it's always been the primary thing of my life, always. There's never been a moment where that hasn't been my everything. And that's maybe unique, but that's me. So over my life, I was, you know, studying lots of different things and learning about different religions and metaphysics and different things like that. And I had sort of clicked into the Eastern thought. It really appealed to me because the stuff that I was reading in, say, the Gita and some of the Vedas, I had already channeled that information. So I knew it. It was just, now I was seeing it. And I was very excited by it. And I just came to find out as I grew up, I knew people didn't have this sort of same drive, or at least they never spoke about it. You know, they didn't have the same sort of drive for connection. And I realized, like, I understood things a lot differently than other people. So I started to really give advice. And I had a lot of, you know, by that time I had a lot of psychic and mystical experiences, and I was able to give readings to people and stuff like that. And so I started to really realize that. But with the channeling, what happened was I was watching Esther Hicks on an online stream, sitting right here in this room. And I don't know if you ever know, but they have a little chat box and people can say hi from wherever. And this was in 2010. And I had said hi from the Netherlands, and my screen name was my own name. And so someone came back and said, "Is that Karen Newman from Charleston, South Carolina?" And I said, "Oh," and I was like, "Yes," but it's going really fast. So you're trying to type and see. And it turned out it was a woman who had been one of my first metaphysical teachers when I was about 19. I went to some course she had called like Intro to Your Angels or something like that. And it turned out she was living in France and I'm living in the Netherlands. And her partner had been a channel, though I didn't even think about it at the time. And so we just exchanged email addresses really quickly, and then we got in touch with each other. And then within a couple of weeks, she was here in my house staying with me. And she just said at one moment, "I'm surprised you're not a channel," you know. And I said, "Oh, I don't know why I would do that, you know. No, I never, and 100% I can say with complete certainty, I never thought about it until that moment." And she said, "Well, I just feel like I should share that with you." She said, "Just think about it." And I thought, okay. So I thought about it for about 2 years. Yeah, I didn't just go, "Oh, I'm a channel." I just thought, well, why? Why would I do that? You know, and then in 2012, I started on the Enlightenment Evolution Network with my own show called About Oneness, my own radio show. And all I wanted to do on that show was to just interview people I found interesting. And it's somewhere after 2000, and after her name was Priscilla, after Priscilla was here, I just heard from Theos. They said, "Do you want to know our name?" And I thought, well, I didn't even know they had a name. And then I was a little embarrassed because I thought, well, I've been talking to them my whole life, just thinking it's my guides, it's God, it's, you know, so I sat down and I sat at the computer and I started just typing information that was coming through. They told me that their name. They told me that there was 3 of them, that they were non-physical, that they were a group mind, that they existed, you know, in a higher dimension, but that they talked to me about dimensions folding upon themselves, the temporary dimensions, like a lap. You know, you sit down, you have a lap. When you stand up, the lap is gone. They said dimensions twisted and folded like that, and they could focus their attention on any place they wanted to be. And they just started giving me all this information, and at the end, they told me that their name was Theos. And they told me that they specifically chose that name for my own comfort, so that I could have a clear understanding of what they were about. And they've always been about love and oneness. I started talking about oneness years ago, before I even knew that that was a thing. I thought I made it up, to be honest, you know. And yeah, so it sort of went like that. And so I started talking to them in 2010. And then after we had that initial sort of get to know you session, which is kind of strange because I had been talking to them always, but not about them. They had always been teaching me. They told me they were here to prop up my vibration so that I could have the connection that I so wanted. And then they said to me, "Would you like to channel?" And I said, no, why? Why would I, what would I say? And they said, well, it wouldn't really be you talking, but that they would be happy to share their knowing with other people. And so I thought, oh, I don't know. And it was really a negotiation. And they said, well, if you want to, you want to. If you don't, you don't. But as I thought about it, I thought, well, I wonder what would happen. What would they say? And I know what they've always said to me. And I thought, well, they'll just share more of that. And the stuff that I was talking to people about was knowledge that I had from them, you know, from that knowing that I have. And I might as well just call it my knowing as opposed to even saying it's Theos. It's my higher knowing. They've started recently calling what we have as higher consciousness conversations. which I think that's what it is. It's a way of tapping in to the higher consciousness of yourself and communicating it. So I decided that I would try to channel. And so I sat down and I knew how to go into trance because I'd done that many times, and I knew how to just center myself. And I did, and I could feel like something here just wanting to come out, some words, something, and I could feel it was like ah, ah, ah. And I just said, "We are Theos." That's the first thing that they said. And it was very hard to even get those words out. It was very, very strange and weird, and it wasn't scary. It was just odd. It was like, and it felt very, very heavy. It felt like that when the energy came through, I felt like it was really so big. And I thought, I'm too small for this big energy to come through. And I was like, call me on the phone. You know, I just can't take it. And so we negotiated the feeling of it, the amount of energy that would come through. Also the voice, my voice, as it changed, it became very staccato and heavy. And I thought, oh, that won't work, you know. And so that was also negotiated, which I didn't know that you could negotiate it, but it was more like practice. And so what happened then is I had a few sessions of writing things, and I had one session in 2012 where that 2012, what was it, 2012 or 2112 or something came along, and I did a channeling, just again sitting here, and it was about the fact that everyone was thinking that everyone was going to just pop up into ascension, and that was it. You know, we were moving into fifth dimension, and they basically said no, that's not what's happening, that it's opening, but that everyone will go together, and that we will be waiting for everyone. So that was the first information, and I said to one of the people on the Enlightenment Evolution Network, which is Rob Gauthier's network, I said, I started channeling, and this woman said, oh, come on the show and you can channel. And I thought, oh, I don't know. I hadn't channeled that much at that moment. And so I went on and we did an interview, and we talked about everything and my show and what the goals were of the show. And the goal of my show was to discuss the ongoing enlightenment going on in humanity. That was the purpose, and it was about coming in together with oneness. And so we did this interview and we talked, and she said, okay, you know, would you like to channel? And I thought, oh, well, here goes nothing, you know. And so I did. I went in and I channeled, and she started asking questions, and the information that came out was amazing. I had never had, and it, you know, there was no hesitation, there was no of this, it was just flowing out, and I thought, this is really, really real. This is real.
And what would you say is the main message of Theos?
Their main message is that we are one, and that we are love. And that their goal that is tied into the message now is to make people remember that.
Sorry, I didn't mean to.
That's okay.
And what's your truth on channeling nowadays? Where do you see it evolving to, or is it evolving?
Yeah, it is evolving in the way of, I'm clear on more of their message, because over the years now there's been a lot of, because they channel thematically, you know, and it wasn't always clear what the theme was or what the message was, because their message has always been going back to oneness and to love, and to stimulate people to find that within themselves. And that is the core of what it is. And now it's really about finding, for them, giving ways to explain that in different scenarios for people to, but ultimately it's always just to pull people back to their own knowing, of themselves. Because if you don't know it in here, it's never going to be true for you. So it doesn't matter so much what people say. It's more about pulling people back so that they go inside and they have their own awakening in that way.
And what do you think about the evolution of the psychic and the channel combining together, maybe?
Well, I mean, it can be a natural progression if you want it to be. You know, psychics and mediums, it used to be that if you were a psychic, you saw it as a gift or a burden in your life, and people thought about it as something happening to them, and they would use it to share it with other people. I understand now that you can come in awake, and a little bit awake, so you have a little bit more of an extra sensory perception, but also psychic abilities, mediumship, they're side effects also of being more awake. It is a tool that we have, that every human being has access to. So everyone can be a channel, everyone can be a psychic, everyone can be a medium. I really believe that, and I think that depending on, you know, what your natural talents are, you may be more, you may be more prone to something else. It's like someone being a good piano player or a great piano player. But if you really just are open to everything, it can all flow through you. So, but mediums and psychics are probably, it's very natural for them to move into channeling because they already sort of know how to be open. That's more my answer, I think. So what I usually do is I just Om, and I just get into that sort of space, and I just will let them come through. So I channel with my eyes open, so I will open my eyes, and I didn't used to channel with my eyes open, just so you know. I used to channel with my eyes closed. So that is the progression also of the channeling. Okay. We are Theos.
Theos, welcome. It's an honor to have you come through right now.
Well, we are extremely pleased to be with you and honored to be with you also. And we wish to extend our warmest regards and thankfulness in the work that you are doing to bring information to people in a way that will be clear so that they can understand, but also in a way that you can normalize communication, so that is a great gift you're offering to humanity. And we are so pleased to participate with you in this co-creation. So we honor your desire and your intention, and we join our intention with you to bring higher knowledge to those who seek it. And it is beautiful in that way. So we thank you for that service that you are bringing. And we wish to just send you the love for that. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Right now, if I was to try to find out where you're located, where would you say you're coming from?
Well, we are not standing on the corner of Eternity and Channeling Avenue, and we have no physical location. We exist, but we are not located anywhere that you could go to on a ship. We are in a vibration of love. We are in a vibration that is tuned into by the channel. It can be tuned into by anyone. And when you do tend to tune into your higher knowing, that is where we are. But we are not anywhere in particular by location. We are simply, we are. That is where we are.
How long have you existed for, in a sense? I mean, if we were, is there a progression to where you've got to?
Well, there are different timelines that we've existed upon and can exist in any moment, but just as all is eternal, we are eternal, as you are eternal. The personification that is Karen is not eternal in her physical form, but yet she is an aspect of us, and therefore she is eternal. She is the part of us that is projected now into this world. But we are, and everyone is, and we don't speak about ourselves only as us, but when we say we do mean everything is eternal. And there have been many times where we have been here and other places, and that will continue because that is part of what we do as part of the all that is. That is a continual, it is a continual flow out, and it's a continual flow in, and it's like a wave going in and out on the shore. But we will say that, just like a wave on the shore, it's a continual movement. It's like a breath coming in and going out. So in sense of time, it's impossible to say, because there's really no such number, because it's not as a finite moment, though lifetimes are finite within this world. The soul is eternal, so for all time, we would say.
Have you experienced, this is a group I'm speaking to.
You're speaking to a group, yes.
Is there ever disagreement between the group?
No, not now. Not that there was before, but no, because we are only communicating what is. There's no differing opinion on what is.
Have you ever experienced a life that, for example, Karen is experiencing now, where there seems a form of separation from all that is, to have this experience that we have now?
When every time you enter into dualism, there is that feeling of separation. That's part of it.
Have you had that experience?
Well, we are not only us, we are many things, many beings. And so, yes, but not as Theos. Theos is the larger part of Karen, but the larger part of the soul group. And so this part of the soul group remains where it is. It's not like we were born and we've had these many lives and progressed to become Theos, but we are. And we are that part that doesn't come.
Is that the evolution of our soul, for example, of the human soul, to become part of a collective like this?
it seems to be very common in that way. People might experience it differently, but that is how we perceive this to be. That everyone, as they get closer to nothingness, returning to truly to the all, that there seems to be the soul that has a sort of stationary part of itself that is continually sending out. You can also think of it, and we've never said this before, so we're happy to share this with you, as a honeycomb like bees make. That you have the honeycomb, and within that honeycomb there's the many different holes, and from that is coming all of the different personalities and the different beings, but they're all part of that one hive. So within the hive, and it's not the best analogy because it's more for the honeycomb and not the true life of bees, so don't confuse the two, but the soul is like that. It's sort of porous and things come from it, but there's the stationary part of it, and we are the stationary part of it. So we are not incarnating randomly, and we are not ascending ourselves, except collectively we are ascending.
So Karen is an aspect of you.
Yes.
But in that understanding, I'm not quite the same aspect of you then.
No, you are not the aspect of us in the way that she is, because you have your own honeycomb.
That makes
But we're all part of the hive. We'll extend the analogy just a bit.
So why has this particular hive, you, why have you chosen to have this separation aspect as Theos? Why did you choose this particular experience?
As being Karen, or being...
As being Theos and Karen.
Well,
and all
Theos
the rest.
Theos is our soul group. We've named ourselves that for her understanding, but you could just as easily just call us soul. A soul. In its entirety, we are a soul. But the soul itself has many aspects going out, and Karen is one aspect of that. She is not separate from us. We are not separate from anything. We are part of the all that is. But we have extended ourselves into Karen. If we were to go back and recede everything in, then we would just be that one solid part. And then if we go back even further, we fade back into the one.
How many aspects of this soul group are having incarnations just in this timeline right now from this hive?
This very timeline being Earth right now in the year 2017, it's a large number.
Just from this hive?
Yes. It's a very large number, and we don't want to overestimate it, but we are going to say something that's very, very big, is that there's not that many hives, if you want to go with that. There's not so many. People are connected much more than they realize.
Oh, there's less soul groups than we actually think. I was thinking that, well, you've answered my question really. I was just going to ask you actually, do we all have a soul group that's...
Yes.
But we don't have there wouldn't be, whatever the population of planet Earth is, not every single person is creating their own soul group. Not
in the largest aspect, but as you move down through creation, it becomes more and more diversified. This is not the best analogy, and we apologize for this, but if you think of a mop, with all of its different strands, it's sort of like that.
Like a pearl necklace, in a sense.
A pearl necklace with many strands,
yes.
And every strand has the ability to have many more strands. It would be quite an intensive sort of situation. So you have the source of something, and then you have all the streams off of it, and those streams can also diversify.
Is that why I've recognized some people in this documentary that I have a lot of love for, where I've actually recognized a soul group member?
Yes. Yes. very much so. And it's not a small number. We don't want to say it's like 3 or something like that. It's not, but it's much less than you think. Every individual is not completely individual. We will say that there's more groupings than you would expect.
Has Karen always worked with this soul group?
You don't leave your soul group. You are your soul group. But it is quite vast. So we would say within, we hesitate to give you a number because it's a constantly changing number. Only we'll say that because people are being born and they die, and you're also dealing with past, present, and future constantly. So it's not, because everything is now. So it's a constant. If you want to isolate it to this world, this planet, this time, you could say in the thousands, but you could ask tomorrow and it might be in the hundreds, or it might be more. So, but this is one existence, and there are infinite other ones.
What is the purpose or benefit of splitting from the all that is to form your own soul group?
You're splitting within the all that is. Not from, but within.
Well, within.
Because everything's within. What is the benefit? It's just the benefit of experience, that every unique expression has a unique perspective. And within each moment, as everything differentiates, more splintering comes, more uniqueness comes. So there is very few things that are truly, truly the same. Everything has just a slight difference, and that slight difference is also the slightest of experiences.
It's almost like a high-rise tower, and each level is the same prettiness inside, but each, as you increase the height, you see things from a different perspective.
Yes. Yes. And that every experience is wanted. Every experience. And the potential of new experience is wanted.
So you could say this soul group is from level 3, and another soul group may be from a higher level, but each level is equal in a sense.
Yes.
But
just
the
a different perspective
is different.
Yes.
The experience is different, and maybe
yes.
even the wisdom is different
yes.
from that different perspective.
Yes. Yes, but it's a continual expansion. It can be very fast moving because it's just builds and builds and builds. It's a continual expansion until there comes a time when it contracts again.
And goes back.
And it goes back and starts again.
How many times has that happened for this group?
For this group, it's from the very beginning of this beginning, but we would say this beginning is one of many beginnings, one of infinite many beginnings, and it will continue so. We come here to have this a unique experience until we tire of it and have another unique experience. So this is just one life in the vast, expansive universe, but it's not the only life. It's the only conscious life for this extension of us, because that is part of the need to not have consciousness of everything, or else the unique experience becomes muddled with all the other input. So it's important to have the singular focus as a human being so that the experience can be truly enjoyed and truly experienced.
And as this singular experience is, even though this is a singular experience, Karen has done this before in this particular timeline like this in a different way, maybe?
Yes, but we wouldn't say that she's done it before. We would say she's doing it simultaneously now.
But it's happened again and again.
Yes, in the way so was when we talked to her when she was young, and we talked to her about all time at the same time. We really meant it. Everything is happening now. Everything has happened now. Everything that will happen has happened now. It's too much for the human brain, so you just sometimes have to just go, okay.
Okay. Well, this information is obviously coming out for a reason.
Yes, because it helps, because there is the desire to move on and to stop this play. in this duality experience. If people understand who they are and they know this, all of the shackles of what is keeping you in this not knowing fall away. Not to the degree that you suddenly know everything, because you're here for this unique experience. We will say that on our trajectory of where we are, without locale, we don't want to, that we have the ability to tune into everything, to understand everything, to explain everything as we can through your understanding. But what we will say to you is the desire for unique experience never goes away. And the agreement of coming into this world is to have that unique experience. An experience coming in of having the experience of knowing who you are takes away a lot of the world pressure. It takes a lot of the world pain. It takes away a lot of the world problems, so that then the experience shifts into being a dance of love and creation, which can also have its own unique expressions. So humanity has come to a point now, and maybe before, but now, that it's time to wake up so that you can really start to play.
Did we, in other versions of this reality, get to a point where we were at a better place than we are now?
Again, we would like to preface what we're saying is to say that it's not one time or one moment or one experience. It's a spectrum of everything. And so, yes, there has been parts of humanity that have soared beyond what you can conceive now. And there's been parts of humanity that have gone lower than what you can conceive now.
Lower than where we are now.
Of course.
So in this spectrum of all that's happening now, with other realities in this moment now that have progressed further than where we are now, maybe more peace I'm talking about on the world, which is a further progression from my truth,
sure.
Right? How did we get there in that version compared to where we are now? What are we doing in another reality happening now that could help us now?
Because everyone has personal choices and free will to make choices. There have just been times where more beings chose love and chose to act in that way. And in this time period, because we don't want to limit the possibility of what will still become.
Absolutely not.
That you can say that there's been less choices for that, though that is changing in many ways. So we're specifically here for Karen, for her message through, well, our message through her, to talk about it, so that when there becomes a question on what to choose, you know what to choose, or you have been guided what could be possibly a better choice. But in the end, we would like to also say that there is nothing wrong with going the other way. There's nothing wrong with going as far down as possible, because that again is the experience, and that experience is wanted.
Even if it's a very painful one.
Yes. Because the knowledge of the eternal nature is what is prevalent through all of the universe. If you know that you will never die, if you know that you are eternal, then there's no risk, really. That is the true comfort.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's easier said than done when you have the forget-me-not there, as someone speaking from the human perspective.
Yes.
It's so.
But on the human side, it is preferable to choose the more.
Could you right
thing.
now see another reality where it's happening now, that it's happened in a different way, where it's more progressive than we are now? Are you able just to go there now?
Well, we see everything, so we don't need to go there. We only need to, you wish us to share it with you, is that what you're asking?
Well, only if it's for our highest good.
Well, the knowledge of it can be what you would imagine. It would be a different sort of reality. We have said this before, and we'll say it again, that when the humanity is more open and more aware, then everything that exists is just about making sure that every being has the best possible life, so that the creativity and the joy of being is the primary goal. That is how the society changes. So the things that are necessary, the basic needs of people,
yes,
don't become a negotiation of power, but they become a right, a sovereign right of everyone that is honored and joyfully given. There's still challenges in those worlds. It doesn't mean that everything is only love and puppy dogs, but it does mean that you have a lot more options for joy.
Did we progress technically faster in those other versions?
Not necessarily.
Did we have more contact with extraterrestrial beings in those other versions?
Not necessarily. You had more contact with your inner self. Extraterrestrials are not the key to expansion. The key to expansion is tapping into love.
1,000. Agreed.
But there's nothing to take away from extraterrestrials. But you have to understand that mankind is calling out so strongly that anyone who has the perception, and that is anyone who's aware, we would say, on many different levels of existence and dimensions, all the way up to where we are, really. So anyone who hears the call and truly is love-based will heed the call and will want to come and will want to help and will want to offer the alternative solution. So it's no mistake that many beings, extraterrestrial, intraterrestrial, are heeding this call.
Could you say that we've already crossed over, that actually I'm already, use the word human word, dead in this form, that this is just something else, this is...
Yes and no, because your consciousness is here right now experiencing this.
But
that everything is now.
Is now, so I've already crossed over.
It's a dream and it's an experience all at the same time. It's a memory and also an experience in the same
Am I
moment.
able to speak to the aspect of Karen that's crossed over already? Just to ask one question, that's all. For the benefit of Karen, and this would be for the benefit of others, hopefully. You let me know when that's come in.
Well, it's always here, so you can speak to it now.
Okay. So this is an aspect of Karen now that I'm speaking to that's already crossed over in this timeline, in this period, a potential.
Yes.
And I guess that potential can change as well as she makes more free will choices.
Well, this is only one aspect of the multi-million aspects of her soul that will have crossed over. But we will say, based on her current life and based on her current existence, this is the most likely aspect. But yes, it could change.
Okay.
But we will say that this is the most likely of those.
Thank you. Well, thank you for letting me talk to this aspect. Well, the one question I'd like to ask you, having lived Karen's life, is what would be the one message you'd like to give back to Karen that would help her progress even further, to help you progress further?
Well, we would only just... We don't have sage information because for her it's not such a race. She does know who she is, and in that way that will continue, and you can't rush it. So just for her to know that well, she doesn't doubt the track she's on. So we don't really agree with the question. We would say that she dances out beautifully, and that all of her knowing only grows, and that she does reach her goal of being that love that she wishes to be. But that is not a doubt for her now. It's only now a matter of sitting in it. So,
was she able to heal any hurts that she came into this lifetime with, that we're here to heal, to make her a better person?
Of course, yes.
But that doesn't happen for everyone, though, does it?
No, but she's been actively involved in her own growth, and she has the strong intention of that. And so, in that respect, yes.
And would you say that's a positive thing for us to heal any hurts that we have in this reality?
Well, it's a positive thing to let go of any attachments that blind you from knowing who you are. And that is the most important thing. The attachment is what is the source of pain for people. And so in that, it's an ongoing process, because your life doesn't just stop once you start healing. You still are living your life in an ongoing way. So there's different things that come in. The idea, though, of coming into a moment where you notice what is coming to you and you assess it from the observer standpoint as opposed to internalizing things, is a different way of perceiving. So that becomes stronger as you become more aware and you start to observe things more than have things happen to you. And so, but she's really in that space now. So.
That's beautiful. Thank you. She'll appreciate that a lot, actually. No,
So,
thank you.
But we think that you're coming to that space as well. You're starting to understand that you have more control of life than you've ever had before. And you're going to rest more into that. Just have that understanding.
Thank you for that. Yeah, that's been a very difficult one for me. But since this experience of starting this documentary and other things, I've just kind of living just in the moment right now more than I ever have been. Even though you'll probably look at me and say, "Not that great," but
we have no judgment about how you're living your life. But we will say being in the moment is a very wonderful thing.
I'm trying, and because
you only have this one moment, this now, that you have consciousness of. You know, when you do reach a level of non-physicality and you don't have the blinders that you have with the physical body, you don't have those sweet moments of singular focus, and we really want to emphasize that. So enjoy them while you can, because then they become, we don't want to say muted, but for lack of a better term, we will say it becomes muted because it becomes part of so much. And you have to constantly sift through everything to focus on that one thing. So enjoy your moments, all of them. Relish them all. There's another reason why we come back and back and back and back. It's because we have the experience. And the more you become aware, the more you can truly play and have wonderful experiences. So,
can we communicate to past and future aspects of ourselves that would help us to make this life even greater in the present moment?
Yes, you can, which we just have done, but we will say to you that it's not necessarily what you're hoping. It's not going to help you navigate all of life, because there's no point then.
But does it allow us to understand why we have these habits right now? By maybe it's a future life that's causing it, or a past life that's causing it?
Yes, but there's also the idea that you don't have to dive too much into it. If you notice something that you want to let go, let it go. But you can also expand it make it grow. You can reactivate something that you are saying you don't want. So it's better to just let it go and understand that this is something, you can notice it and then say, okay, I have this habit, I'm going to let this habit go. And then do whatever you have to do to change the habit, whether it's behavior modification or a change of attitude or whatever. That's not really the important thing. But to dive into what we don't want is only bringing more of it. Where attention goes, energy flows.
Well, that would come down to being addicted to that habit.
If you want to say it that way, sure.
Well, how else would you?
What is the question? Because you were asking about knowing it. If you understand it, then change it. If you're saying you don't want it, then simply change it. But diving into it doesn't necessarily help you. Sometimes just letting it go helps you. We talked to Karen about this before, and we'll explain it to you, that when you know something, for instance, you have an idea of, I don't want to go to a place because I think this place will not give me a good experience. Sometimes as humans, you go to that place simply to prove to yourself you didn't want to go there. And so it's like finding the milk in the refrigerator that you think is sour and you taste it just to make sure. But we would say to you, if you know that there's an experience that you don't want, don't do it anyway to prove to yourself you were right. Trust that. When does the trust come in? When do you say, I sense that this is not something for me, I'm going to trust that, and I'm just going to move past it without having to say to yourself, see, I was right. Do you know what we're saying?
Yes.
So
yes,
we would share that with you as well.
Okay,
sometimes the instinct of knowing is a gift to you, and then in that moment you can choose to say, okay, I'm going to honor my knowing, and I'm not going to participate in it without needing the proof that you were correct.
Is there anybody in this hive that would want to come more forward than the collective group?
No. We are a collective group. We are all forward.
And that's not a trick question. That was just...
No, we know, but we that's why we answered you very quickly, because we are a group mind, and we are all forward. There is not, in the theme of us, there is not any individual that needs recognition.
What would be your biggest passion right now as a group?
As we said, our biggest passion is to help humanity remember, because we know that in that remembrance, when it is cumulative, but for the individual it's the same, but on a cumulative way, the remembrance of who you are makes all the difference. It will change the world. It will change everything.
It's funny, isn't it? Speaking to you right now, I get the feeling that I wouldn't be as satisfied being where you are compared to actually being where I am right now. I think I'm much more satisfied to have this craziness, to live in this illusion or this reality or whatever this is, the matrix or whatever this is of my choosing. I'm having actually much more fun that I think than actually I would do if I was where you are right now.
Well, perhaps, but we have a lot of joy. We have a lot of, but we don't have the experience in the same way you do. So maybe, possibly.
Am I addicted to this reality?
Are you?
Or are you addicted to yours?
We are. We don't have any, how do you say? No, we are not addicted to our reality. We are in our reality. But it's an interesting question, because you ask it in a way that presumes that we don't have choices, and that is not true. And so we have many choices, and we can focus on whatever we wish. But people and beings do like incarnation for the reason that we said, for the singular focus, because that's fun, and we're here to play.
Are you able to tap into Karen's consciousness at any time and experience exactly what she's directly experiencing?
Yes and no, in the exact way that she's experiencing it. but she is an aspect of us, so, and therefore she is experiencing it.
So therefore
there's no separation, and we want to be clear about that.
Well, this is what my question is. So you get to, so whatever group I'm with, they're actually in me right now, in a sense. They are me. They
are you. They are not in you.
No, yeah. It's my expression of trying to humanly say it, yeah.
Yes.
So they're getting this, but I'm then missing out on what they're having then.
You're not missing out. You are experiencing something from your own perspective, but you have singular focus, and that is a very, very nice thing. When you go and do ayahuasca, you will experience more than you've ever experienced in a totality way. And you will come to the conclusion that at one moment it might be too much for your physical mind, because your physical mind is not designed for that. So within this experience, these are sort of your
boundaries. Just Alex, you took the question right out of my mouth.
We
there.
do that.
You do. I was going to say, well, isn't this on that edge of what's the mind will allow to go to in the depths?
It's within the capacity of the mind. Yes, there will be, when you do have your ayahuasca experience, you will have an expanded experience, more expanded than you will have ever had. But we will tell you that it can be even more expanded, and you will almost have the experience. And we don't want to tell you your experience because it will be individual to you, but we would love to speak with you after, because we would like to hear your perspective.
Right.
But you can almost, we don't want to say it like that. We were going to say you could drown in the experience, but we're not going to say that. What we would say to you is, you will realize that you cease within that experience. You will cease, and you will become everything. And that's a totally different experience. And in that becoming of everything, you do not have the singular focus. It's a different perspective than what you are able to truly have in this moment. But you can imagine that if you have that everything experience, it's very difficult to even make yourself a cup of coffee, because you're having to navigate. You have to narrow your focus in order to experience this right here, right now, with any kind of attention.
Yes.
You can also think about it when you're submerged in water and you close your eyes and you just hear that water rushing through your ears and through your body. You cease to really be. And that's what really happens when you leave this world.
I almost feel like I want to say to you, I'm having some sort of illusion, but it's a real illusion. It's my dream. This is my dream. This is everybody else's dream. Mm-hmm. How long have I been dreaming for?
Ever.
Have I ever woken up from it?
In the dream of knowing who you are, or in the dream of just this continual... You have not been repetitively yourself over and over again with no end. There will come a moment where you decide this is not fun for you anymore. You're not Kevin Moore over and over living Groundhog Day with no... That would be hell, wouldn't it? So there does come a moment where you decide to play another game or to do something else. But for now, this is who you are. But it is, in fact, a dream, but it's also real. It is not... It is both things. It's a paradox in that way.
How many times has Karen played Karen for in the dream?
She's had consciousness of herself many times, and we will tell you that when she was a child, she looked for evidence of herself from before. So she did have this inkling that not only had she been here before, but that she had the knowledge that she was going to be here again, and she believes that she could find evidence of that. So that she came through with some knowing of it, but not so much the fact that she could give you names, dates, and places, but she did have that knowledge of that.
How does Karen wake up then from the dream? I mean, how does that happen?
From the dream of what? Please explain to us your definition of the dream.
From the dream of this is real, but it's some sort of projection of...
Well, she is quite awakened to that. She does understand it. She does understand it. She's not under the illusion of this not being a repetitive place that she's in, or that she is coming back at a certain incarnation. She has no illusion about it. She knows it to be true. And for her, it's just now making the best of the situation and doing her best to have her connection so that she can help and assist. So,
now this might sound like quite a negative question, but it's just some others that would think in the same way as well. What if this experience right now with myself and you, what if you were, and others like you, a purposeful block to go no further than where we're at right now with the information that's coming through, because I asked you to do that for me, to appear in this form, to elude me to that a level that would help us in one sense, but we could never go beyond it because an agreement before time and before anything that we understand was made that you guys...
That is fear speaking, and we don't have any limitation, and neither do you. And if there is that coming through, please address it for what it is. Everything in this world exists for two reasons. It's to keep you from knowing, to keep you from not knowing. It's a very convenient idea that there's something keeping you from knowing.
Well, I'm saying that something was an agreement made in some other place, that agreement can't become known, because if it was known, then this game's over.
Well, again, we would say that's a limitation that even by addressing it, you're creating.
Okay.
So we would say to you that is absolutely not within our scope to even give attention to that, because we don't have that limitation.
There was one other channeler that's coming on this documentary, and I thought it was important to bring him on. His name's Carl Morrison, and he feels in what's coming through in his channeling is that most channelers do not know who they're actually bringing through, and it's actually low-level entities masquerading as higher enlightened entities, and you wouldn't know the difference, and they do not want us to progress. And
well, possibly, but you have to also ask for the content of the information, and if any being gives you limitation, then we would say yes, then that is an ego part, and that is something that has an agenda. But when you are talking about ultimate truth and love, and there being no limitation, then we would say judge it in that way. But we will also say to you that this is an aspect of fear, and this is an aspect of uncertainty that can be introduced within the collective, and we do not wish to participate in that.
Okay, well, yes, but I thought I would include him because...
No, we understand that. Yeah. We understand that is part of that, but you have to understand that is a fear, and that is an energy of fear.
Interesting what he said to me was that the way he tells where the people are coming from is, do they include God in their teachings?
And what does that mean in that way?
In the way that if you do not include the all, the God source, that that is if you don't include the creator, I'm just thinking of his words here, then in your channelings, then is that a more of a low level ego based channeling, where as the creator is the actual only one to go back to in some respects for anything that's of value?
Well, we don't know his work, and we would have to allow Karen to, we don't say it like that. Karen would have to read it and we could look at it, but we would just say that any limitation, there's no limitation. You can go as far into fear and as far into love as possible. So whatever you choose and whatever you choose to focus on, you will get more of that. And if there is that understanding from this other beings, then it is true for them. Yes. And it is true within their world, and it is true within their existence.
Totally.
But everyone also has their own stream and their own existence, just like there's multidimensional aspects of everyone. So in his stream, in this moment and in this time, that is probably very true. So we would never say that is not so. We would say within our offering and within our stream, we don't have this limitation.
Well, isn't that interesting that, you know, you are almost coming across as though you don't know him, and yet his energy is obviously part of this unfathomable
well, we don't
collective.
have a focus upon him, let's say it like that.
Focused upon him. Right. Yes. So is there other aspects of your understanding, or of your reality that you're in, that you're not focused upon, and there's actually even greater levels of information around you that you've never been in contact with, maybe?
Yes, for sure. But that is because that is our stream and our focus. And it's not, part of our beingness is our own stream, and part of another being's beingness is part of their own stream, though ultimately we're all part of the one. But again, within that's why we were very clear to say, in that reality, in that being's stream, that may all be very well and true. In our stream, that is absolutely not the case. So
the reality you're coming from is just one in a
yes, but we don't want to. Yes, but
megaplex of realities.
Of course, yes, very much so. But again, it's part of the all. So that's the thing. But all does not mean that all.
I almost feel like where you are right now, it's just a grain of sand on an infinite beach.
Yes, possibly, but not in the. But then there's no degree of what is better, and that's what we want to preface: is that it's all is. So.
Right.
All is. There's nothing that is better. There is what is wanted and unwanted. There is what is preferred and unpreferred in the dualistic
So have
being.
I preferred you into this documentary? Have I preferred your energy out of some of the others?
Possibly, if you can only answer that.
I don't know. I mean, it's just everything just seems to have happened so quickly. It's almost like you chose me or I chose you.
Maybe it was a co-creation. So.
You sought me out.
Did we?
I don't know. I think you could have done, and I think I sought you out. Did we have an agreement before time that this was going to happen? Have a potential?
We had a agreement in the moment that we encountered each other. So, but everything is not predetermined. Just realize.
Okay.
Everything is not predetermined, but within an energy stream, you draw to you what vibration you're holding. So there is an aspect of you and within Karen and with us, and that
I would say
drew
that's
us all
very
together.
true. The way I like Karen's energy, I would say that's true.
Yeah.
Yes, I could go there.
But we want to go back to when we have him here, this being. Whatever he believes is true, because everything is true. Everything is possible and everything is true, and we want to be very clear on that. It doesn't mean it's true it's true, but it's not within our vibrational stream. And that's what we would like to preface. It may be very true that that is an experience that is very needed by this person in this channel. And in that way, it is very true. And the information that he is bringing is very relevant to those that are attracted to that information. we have another point of attraction, we have another point of focus, and we have another stream of reality that we are communicating, that we are bringing through, and that we do not have that participation in that mindset or that truth.
Am I from your soul group?
We want to say to you yes, but we would say you are from an associative soul group, more truthfully.
An associative soul group. Oh God, that opens up Pandora's box. There are associative soul groups.
There are souls that we choose and like to hang out with. And that's a pattern throughout all of creation. You meet someone and then you meet them somewhere else. And the recognition is that that's an old friend.
Okay. Thank you for that. Okay.
We've never used the term associative soul group.
I've never heard that before.
It's being created right now. Well, the idea of associative soul groups is not a new thing. It is a new phrase. But there are soul groups with which you prefer, just like friends in life, you prefer to be with because you offer something to each other.
Okay.
You can always trust that being to bring something fun to the table.
Yes. Okay, well, thank you for that. Thank you. And throughout all this, who am I still speaking to right now?
Well, you're speaking with Theos, and you're speaking with Karen. There's no difference between us and her, though the consciousness that you're speaking with is the higher aspect of her. And that is who she is when she is channeling.
What would you like to give as a final message?
So many things, but we will narrow it down to a singular focus. We think that that is a very important concept for humanity, to understand that there is no mistake that they are here, that you didn't fall into this world by mistake. You chose to come here. You leapt in to have the singular focus, and you have come forward from the all that is. Your purpose to be here is love, and to rediscover yourself from that perspective, because then it opens up a whole other world to you, so that you can truly play. And with that comes the peace that everyone is seeking. So if you choose to play in fear, and you choose to play in unknowing, then that's also okay. But ultimately, it will all come back to love. So that is our message. It has been amazing speaking to you in the way that you have brought forth new ideas, and the co-creation that happens in the exchange of conversation is always miraculous and always a blessing for us as well as for everyone else. So we send you love, and we send you our desire to have you continue your work because of the change and the revolution of love that it will stimulate. So thank you so very much, and namaste to you. And we want to give you a definition of namaste that you can hold with you. And we say that namaste means that the God that is me sees, knows, and acknowledges and loves the God that is you. So thank you again.
Namaste.
Namaste.